Hello students. Today we will be once again learning your social science. So take out your textbook, Footprints, and turn to page 190, your political science chapter, the first chapter called Democracy, Significance and Relevance. So I want you all to be ready with your pencil and scale so that if there is any important part which I wanted you to underline, you will be able to do it. So I think democracy is a term which you might have often heard even before. So today we will be studying it, and this is a term you'll be continuing to hear even in your next class, and especially if you're planning to take arts after class 10. This is something which will be really important. So I want you all to listen very carefully to my explanation. I'll try to put in a nutshell your chapter, and after this lecture I want you to go through your textbook from page 190 to page 202 so that you will also have a better understanding of your chapter. So democracy itself, this name democracy, comes from a Greek word demos, which means the people, and krasia, which means power rule. So literally, democracy means rule of the people, where the people themselves rule. And if you look at your textbook, the introduction, the existence of democracy in a country rests on the people's right to elect their representatives. These elected representatives constitute the government, which formulates appropriate policies and legislations and makes decisions at different levels in the interest of the people. So basically, democracy kanti chuanin khangrama mipuitena an mani ai o tur an than theina an representative tur an than theina khania khatianga unrepresentative an mani ai o tur an than te khan sarkar government khan ron siama chuan kha sarkar khan policies te dan te khatiang ang zong kha le thuthuk na poimo ramtana chatur ang ber khan kha sarkar khan anon siam tachina mipui mimir te tana chathei tur ang ber khan sarkar te khan an siam an tum tur in democracy at chuan. On the other hand, in a democratic form of government such as monarchy, dictatorship or oligarchy, people's rights and interests are subservient to the whims and tantrums of an individual or group of individuals at the top of the power structure. Amaritsu non-democratic form of government kanti khatiang democracy manglo entirnan monarchy kanti ang lal omna ang te dictatorship chu Adolf Hitler the po dictator neta oligarchy achan mi puitlem te kilti theibi kina ram emo khatiang an opna mun ang khatiang khania hetang ka democracy ni lawachan chu mi puin an vathan lam kha ani chi alo khatiang a chuan vathlang lo khan tiang a chan achunga lal te khanin an du dang khan mi puite thatna po ngai to chuang lem lo khan an mani own interest an mani thatna tur mo an mani hlok na tur khan ro an real china ni khatiang non democratic form of government ang chuan khaka democracy danglam na chu mi puite ngein an mani ai o tur an than na kha lo ni chi atani. So even in this chapter we will be learning what democracy is about and what types of democracy are there. Okay, so democracy there can be many definitions, and even if you look at your textbook in page 191 under the defining democracy, under this it's written that the 19th president of USA, Abraham Lincoln, as you can see in the screen, once said democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. Abraham Lincoln, who was a former president of USA, who was shot to death. So on Abraham Lincoln, democracy, they are undefined. It is one of the most popular definition. So if it's possible, democracy in defined on pon. What is a democracy? And democracy is a government of the people, by the people, for the people to him. And manlar Polonia asoitsiang boka apoy mo emani. Democracy, like we have said earlier, chu mipui di lalna. The name democracy itself is rule of the people, where the people themselves exercise their own power, where they make their own government. Kan ti wang mipui kha an lalani democracy ka chan kha shi chiang ema chu wan chane Abraham Lincoln po khan democracy ka ti han alo define ta as a democracy kan ti han we also have to think democracy tianga a theoretical tuka a theoretical condition a tak taka man thailo theory me ani ti lo soite ponomta mekan po kan democracy is a theory that the common people know what they want and deserve to get it good and hard tin lo so ya a theory kan ti chan a practical lo ti na ni ta chen khat ka san a practical lo ti her khan so china a theory na so yang diak dia chon tun a po democracy hi chu kan ram kan en chon kan practice lo ti hi chu sha theya. So this is something even you can ponder upon, think about it. And in the next slide there is the definition given by Franklin D. Roosevelt, which says democracy cannot succeed unless those who express their choice are prepared to choose wisely. The real safeguard of democracy, therefore, is education. Here, Franklin D. Roosevelt is also, again, another former president of the US. And here he emphasized education. So in the process of democracy, we can see that education is really important. Why is education important? Kanti it's one ingwangin nge zirna hi apoy mo kanti it's one. Democracy at lo nan swan at hang tu te khan uluk takin at hang turani arantita. Then ka democracy ka kan veng him don swan zirna apoy mo ni aranti nanita. Mipuin ke ma ni ina kan representative te hang tu kanita. Tin ka heta Mizoram level anga po if you look at it tikhan in than te kan nei china tikhan ke mani ai o tur sarkar kan thanga kan sarkar kan state sarkar kan sarkar on inform ta ni kan state akan an mani kan representative ke mani ai o tur kan than te bok khan heta India ram central azok te min represent le ta khatyang kha ani chinta chuwangin kan sarkar tur ke mani ai o tur kan than hian uluk takin kan thang tur ani tuna Mizoram bika po kan inanga party politics kan te a party anga channate khatyang kha a om china amaro chu education chuan enge atum chu keima ni critical thinking thil omzanei taka ngai twa theina khamin pachina ni so wan keima ni ai otur kan than po khan party a omwang mei akan lo than ka chana dik theilawa mi chata kani chuan eng party po ni se mi puite mangai na tak ram mangai na tak annei ni khason vote kha cha amar chu party awangti amo antirna mani masial na hemi the kan vote ni chon chawak lo ma se ke man mimal takin hlokna kalo changve thei ang a ti anga mi lo vote kha achhalo china ni amar chu education kha tuna kan zirlai nge ang po mo khanga kham kan education kan sirna awang khan uluk takang ngai twa thiamna te min lo pachina kha khan khata khan mani selfish desire selfish want wang ni lawin uluk taka kan ngai twa hnuwa ani hi chu kan ramtan achange yang kan ti theina chawa vote te kha om china ni to san vote te an leita an du wang em ni lawin kha an candidate khanin enge moni alo tiama ani lo pon TV alo pe mo khatyanga wanga lo in vote te khanom china kha achalawa thingtlang lamati anasa china ni chumanchun tinga thil uluk takam kaning lo theinang khan education a poimo po Roosevelt and ranting even new students when you grow up once you're at the age you also have to vote. So when you're going to vote your representative you have to think critically and carefully. Okay, and then next there are many definitions if you look at your textbook. Turn to page 192. See there are lots, but I'll take one more out from there, which is Mahatma Gandhi. The spirit of democracy is not a mechanical thing to be adjusted by abolition of forms. It requires change of heart. Atini democracy Gandhi khanin danle dun hirni lau khan ril rupo poimo arondita. And I think it can go back to what Roosevelt said. Mipui ina ma ni chang mahailu tukna avanga a vote mo politician pon I mani in mga inaram mga ina tak wang ni lawa politics khel chon adik thei lawani so that is why even Gandhi here said that the change of heart is important for a democracy. And if there are six types of democracy which is listed in your textbook. The first one is minimalist or elitist democracy kan ti khalontia alonita heta hitsuanin I mipuite khanin I tlema shwai tu ve ang de hleka an ngai kha I direct takin anilo pon indirect takin o nangchu kan leader lo ni meiro ti anga I rights and chanwa wan va pek na ang khanita chan chu khang mipui mirte kham an mania in real bol le khatyang tan ti khan thiam lo wang o nang ma lo ni meiro an vati na chin ang kha hetiang democracy chulanita liberal or procedural mechanical it can be any democracy anti ve thunga khachuanin khatiang rules and regulations an top na kha ta kha le kha buan da ta khami dan ang zia dan ang khanang kal to pa amaro to setback heta ve chu anti a mi puita ma mo tak tak kha phushu zo lo ani anon ti le a then third deliberative democracy kan ti chan deliberation te po kan te soi hauna kha kan ti thenga khang ve thunga kha chuanim mi puita kha khatianga sarkarina thuthluk na an siam don te policies an siam don rules regulations an siam don te khan puite kha khang soi hauna ate an khan anon tel ve turani anti na kha aloni le ta chanchu mi puite khan boina tak tak khatiang ka an shithiam zo ka heta administration in real bolna level chawa mi te nilawin mi pui hatel ve ro sen na kha deliberative democracy kan ti chuan ta fourth chun participatory or substantive democracy kan ti ve thunga chuan tapo hianin mi puite kha direct takinin khami party anga mokhan anron active takin anron telve turani antita chan laws te dan te policies kan siam na ate khanin atam the ang ber mi puite anron telve khan acha ani anron tita chan fifth the social democracy kan ti chan mi pui chat na khan du em a social democracy kha chuan socialist like communist ideas achanga ron kalani a he kha chuanin constitution a dan manga zoite tia mi puida chatna tura ro relna andu na mun ka social democracy so anita illiberal democracy kan ti ve thunga chan ILLI ti ni akho illiberal democracy akha chanim democracy system ang khanin in khanna te khatyang zong te khaso ve ama ero chu ti kha ta kha sarkar mi puite than ve khan an du huna khan mi bal zalen na emo minorities hautle mami claim homo khang ho kha an du huna khanim anzalen na kha unlock sak thelen in illiberal democracy khan so these are the 6 types of democracy which is mentioned in your textbook so and you must read it again after this lecture and next we will be talking about the United Nations. You can see in the picture this is the UN headquarters in New York. So when we said UNO, it's United Nations organizations which came into existence in 1945. It's there written in page 193 of your textbook at the bottom, the United Nations. United Nations globally anga Kovela Natokanita United Nations. There are 193 countries and I want you to underline from there its main function is to prevent next page war and maintain international peace and security. Besides, it also solves economic, social and political problems at global level by fostering cooperation among different countries of the world. So that basically sums up what United Nations is about. To war kan ti indote khatiang te kham an veng chin an thei ang angin tin economic problem te political problem khatiang om je shang ang kha ram le ram in kara boina omang te kha United Nations ho nan sing fel ve chinani so similarly World Banks kan ti ang te po om ta World Bank te po in Mizoram te po kung ten on sema World Bank kung te po kan tita IMF International Monetary Fund kan ding te po kha ta a global level anga kha chon amaro chu iwan no hi an yam bera and in iwan no in United Nations as an General Secretary kha ahead ania chuan Security Council kha a vele ta that's when it consists of 15 members and 5 members in this body have a permanent status. Security Council Noaya Khanin, USA, Russia, UK, France, China Teka, permanent status Nayanita Halaika. I want you to underline that. So even for your general knowledge. And I also want you to find out who is the present General Secretary or of the UNO. And the other members are elected by General Assembly. They are elected for 2 terms of year. Security Council Kanin Hing but pangabi 15 members anom chin gantia pangabi ka permanent members anneya permanent members big te han veto anneya veto power anne chu thil engemoni veto kan ti chuanin thutluk na siam ngai lo omta se entirna heng panga jiang ka khan UK khan veto a mangani chuan adu dang khan veto mang khan adu ama ngai dan tha tiang khan vakal top theini midang te khan andu khadu lo ma se khang veto power ka heng rampanga tihan nei ani and that's all about United Nations. And now we will go to features of democracy. Like we said, we are talking about democracy. So there are 5 important features of democracy. First is, as we have said earlier, elected representatives kan tiang khania. Democracy achon mi puite khan an ma ni represent tor an ma ni I or tor representative kan ti kha an mi puite nan thang chin ani. Then chon second achon free and fair elections kan ti kha omle a chuta chuanin election kan ti ta kha mipui representative te kan thlan a khanin fair taka in thlanna chin ani chumi tur chon tahen universal adult franchise ti kha kan hmu a kha apui mu ema manla ya naka ka ti video karon da tel tur kha in chuan in she thawanga meichhia te salte ani lo pon no khatiang kha in le lo nei lo te thlengpon khatiang kha vote thak theilo te khan an nei chin ani amar chu universal adult franchise no hi chuan mi zong kha an vote thevek ani kumsom parat an tlin kha chuan meichhia an ni emo engpo ni se vote an thak thevek ti khala ni ta a here if you can see, it implies that all people irrespective of qualifications have the right to vote. Meichhia nge po hian mana kha chan meichhia te kha vote an phal lo thina tuna chan an lo phal ta chu ti chung chuan ramchen khata chan hemi voting rights chung changa struggle po hi an la omani chuan kha free and fair elections vai chan apoyemo a universal adult franchise ka. I want you to remember that because that is another important point. Next, civil liberties kan civil kan chang ke ma ni mi pui civil mi hi kan mai ta that's one. It grants top civil liberties to its citizens mi pui te zalen na khangai pui moni freedom of speech, expression and information khatyang kan du kan soi theina te kan ru om kan va soi ve theina te kan shat du kan shat ve thein te hin kan du huna thil kan tila kan tel lo theina te khatyang liberties kha democracy kha na nei ni nazan China te suk an ula yang kan du to nan thei ve lawa amar chu democracy a kha chuanin a thei china ni khatyang mi pui zalen na kha angai pui mo democracy kha chuan and do chuan right to form a political party te po an form ve theni chuta hei Mizoram nge apo political parties at PM te po an ron ding thar ta do to ang khan China ram ajna thei lo ta kan shove kanga so in fourth there is rule of law. When we said rule of law, a democratic government functions in accordance with laws prescribed by the constitution. In other words, law is supreme and all citizens are equal in the eyes of the law. In a democracy, law is important. Law ka an ngai pui mo a khas sarkar kan siam nge mi puin kan thlan nge te po khanin constitutional law ang khanin an kal turani athia chuwang chu law kha alal bera kha dan chunga leng kha tumma an omlawa law hnuaya kha chon mi pui zong song kha mire theimo hosa mo kha in ang khat veka enani anita. But again, as we all know, ani chia lawa tuna po amar chu adana hechun hete tur hi nia law hnuaya khanin kanin ang vek turani. This is why I want you even to critically think about democracy, and even in terms of Mizoram and India tuna democracy in tisia kan ram din mun hi nangma ni pun I want you to think about it. And lastly, there is independence of judiciary. If democracy is an executive kanti legislation le judiciary China ami pathum kha poimo as we all know chuan masa judiciary bi ashan lak a independent turani achan chu they have to check and balance the government mo khata kan sarkar form 2 kan mi pui thantling tenge po khanin an power de ka an lo mang diklo fau chin ni as we all know kha an mang khatyanga diklo te khatyang entur khan judiciary ho kha independent takin anom turani a in a democracy chung khatenga diklo an omani chuan dan hnuaya inganga sarkar inga athunei po ni se mite ber po ni se inang khat vekin rawan real section turna judiciary khan so they check and balance the government. So those are the important features of democracy. And some exercises, if you look in your textbook in page 203, I want you to do tick the correct option from number 1 to number 5. Then, as you can see here in this PPT, in number 2, why is universal adult franchise important? You have to answer this briefly. And third, that is from long answer, what role do people play in the success of democracy? Discuss with suitable examples. I want you to answer this carefully from what I've explained and from what you are going to read from your textbook. And like I said, I want you to find out who is the present Secretary General, which is the head of the UNO. What is the name of the Secretary General of UNO right now? I want you to find out that. In regards to question number 3, what do role people play in the success of democracy? Discuss with suitable examples. I will be expecting a detailed answer from this one. All the best.